Okay, everyone. Subject of our class is about Buddha nature. Which is the true nature of you and me and all sentient beings' nature. Now, in order to understand this nature of ours, Arya Maitreya explains through 7 Vajra points. 7 Vajra points. Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, elements, enlightenment, qualities of enlightenment, and enlightened activities. So, through these 7 Vajra points, as we study this, reflect on the meaning of these, we may come to the understanding of our true nature. So this text, this study is a very, very important one. Okay. What else? Now, 7 Vajra points. To begin with, first of these 7 Vajra points, first 3 are the 3 jewels. Buddha jewel, Dharma jewel, and Sangha jewel. So today we are going to discuss 3 jewels, which are first 3 Vajra points, through which, again, Maitreya teaches this so-called Buddha nature, our true nature. Okay, to begin with, here the text on page 101, okay? 101. 101. Okay. Most of us, of course, know 3 jewels. So this subject, today's subject should be rather simple, except we go to a deeper meaning of these 3 jewels. Now, in order to become a Buddhist, one must take refuge in Buddha jewel, in Dharma jewel, and in Sangha jewels. So those who take refuge in 3 jewels are Buddhists, are non-Buddhists. This is the definition. If you ask, okay, then what is actually the 3 jewels? If you put it simple, which we most of the time stick to this, the simple version, that is Buddha, the teacher, Dharma, the teaching, Sangha, the ones who practice. Simple. That's it. Simple, but that's, again, understanding of these three covers a lot of Buddhist path. Now, Buddha, the teacher, the fully awakened one. Who is that Buddha? Obviously, fully awakened one. But going a little bit into deeper understanding of this Buddha, I want to first share with you a Tibetan word for Buddha. Tibetan word for Buddha is Sangye, which we use this name actually to many people. Man and woman, Sangye Chomo, Sangye Dorje, all we use. Now, Sangye, there are two syllables here. Sang, which means purified, clear away. What is Buddha here? Buddha is simply our true essence, this Buddha nature, right now, which remains in covered with all these obscurations. Now, going through the practice of Buddha Dharma, slowly, we peel out all the layers and layers of obscurations. Keep on peeling away, removing these layers of obscurations which cover our enlightened, inherent Buddha within. Purify, purify, and once this purification is completed, that is Sang. Sang means that purified everything, purified. So purification, these adventitious obscurations, and purification of these adventitious obscurations, which cover our Buddha nature, is all about, the practice is all about. So each time one practice, one try to remove these obscurations of our minds. We practice all kinds of purification practice like Vajrasattva practice, purifying our karmas. Slowly we become pure and purer, and then purest Buddha. So when we talk about Buddha, we talk about Buddha, the outside pure, Buddha, the inside pure, Buddha who embodies all the purities. Basically, our true nature, your true nature, that is simply purified. That is simply revealed. That purification aspect is Sang. Now, Je, the word Je means fully developed here, fully developed, blossom. there's nothing actually developed in a sense that first there's some kind of seed and slowly enlightened qualities are attained, or some kind of new things happen there, but rather simply means blossom, that which is already there. That which is already there is now without any obscurations, fully uncovered, fully manifest. That which is already there is J. So the Tibetan word Sang J has a profound meaning in it. So this gives one an understanding that Buddha, the fully awakened, means basically Sang, filling out all layers of obscurations that we have right now and complete that job. And our innate qualities fully revealed, J, that is Buddha. It's quite simple, isn't it? Buddha jewel. Okay. Now we will talk about, according to Maitreya, what is that now fully awakened one? Can we describe that a little bit more? This is actually interesting, isn't it? We need more, little bit more explanation of what that is. Now here, in this Maitreya, mainly in 3 stanzas, okay? 3 stanzas explains the Buddha. First stanzas, as it says here, presentation of the nature of the Buddha by means of a praise. By paying homage, Maitreya revealed that awakened nature, that awakened Buddha's nature. And then he, in second stanza, the explanation of the meaning of the praise presented in categories. Now, what are the categories? What are the different aspects of that enlightened, fully awakened one? Can we talk about in different aspects so that we would understand? And third, detailed explanation by combining the praise and the meaning. So basically, to sum up the nature of the Buddha. So if you go through these all stanzas, word by word, it would really take lots of time. Again, we may go over time today. So I think the best way is to talk about based on the second stanza, okay? Second stanzas. If you understand the second stanzas, then first stanzas and third stanzas are piece of cake. Okay. Now look at the second stanzas. Speaking of Buddha's different aspects, we talk about 6 different aspects. Now here we are describing that being fully awakened one, that being who is completely pure one, that being whose qualities are completely manifested. Who is that? So speaking of that person, that Buddha, we talk about in 6 different aspects. First aspect, created this one. First 3 qualities let us talk about. Second would be spontaneously present. Third, not a realization due to extraneous conditions, external conditions, basically. So let us talk about first these three aspects. Uncreated or uncompounded, first quality. So now here we have something to think about. Uncompounded, uncreated. Actually, Buddha Shakyamuni, before he was a Siddhartha, he was born somewhere. And then attained enlightenment. After that, walk on in the deer park and taught the Four Noble Truth. As we know Buddha, that Siddhartha, who attained enlightenment, later on known as Shakyamuni Buddha, isn't that the Buddha? If that is the Buddha, then what is here we are describing here, uncompounded or uncreated, which has no beginning, no end? So here, something to think about. In the ultimate sutra teachings, Buddha talk about Kanda ngala zuksutong, Kanda ngala darshi pa lobi lamdo shupa de jewteda ngame tong, which means those who sees me as a form, those who sees me as a sound, they are wrong. Those beings do not know me. And then we have a text here that taking Bodhisattva vow. Before that, we have 7 branch prayers. In that, it says, Dulchik ting na dunye sanjete, which translated as, on each particle, there are as many Buddhas as there are particles. Now, those who are trying to be a little bit intelligent, they would think, well, those particles, either those particles must go bigger, or those particles, lots of Buddhas, got smaller and fit into that one particle. But here teaching says none of that. That each particle which contain as many Buddhas as there are particles, those Buddhas did not become smaller, neither the particle became bigger. So where are we here? We are so much puzzled. Somehow this mind of ours do not have the ability to understand what Buddha really is. So here, when Maitreya says, Buddha's quality is uncreated, uncompound. So we have here further little bit puzzle, so to speak, uncompounded, uncreated. So what this really means is that this fully awakened one is, as we talk about, as I just mentioned, simply fully developed, so it's fully blossomed, fully revealed our inner true nature. So this innate true nature, innate nature of our being has nothing to do with causes and conditions. Nothing created this inherent enlightened quality in another word. It has been there from the beginning, primordial nature, primordial nature. And no other conditions diminish this, its quality. And no other conditions enhance its quality. It is just there, inherent qualities. If anything, if Buddha is created, if Buddha is composite, then that composite and created things change. And that composite creation is never separate from changing impermanent nature. If that's the case, then it falls into suffering nature. So therefore, Buddha's true nature, these three qualities, these three aspects of the Buddha, uncreated and spontaneously present, nothing has to do with external conditions. These three qualities are the true qualities of the Buddha. True nature of the Buddha. So this uncreated, uncompounded quality is empty. Beyond causes and conditions, beyond beginning, middle, and end. So when you really talk about the Buddha nature, its essence, its nature is uncompounded, uncreated, primordially present. Okay. Now, the second aspect is spontaneously present. Spontaneously present has to do with something that is spontaneously present, basically. Primordially present phenomena. Nothing is created newly. Just presented there primordially. There's no effort beyond effort. These qualities we will be talking about Buddha. So many different categories of the Buddha's qualities. None of these actually created or you obtain from somewhere. All naturally, spontaneously present. Buddha's, as we talk about, infinite qualities of compassion and love, all spontaneously present. Buddha don't have any effort to think about, oh, I'm going to help this, I'm going to grant blessings to these certain individuals, or that certain individuals, or that person's not praying upon me, I'm not going to give blessings. So such things is not there. Everything is spontaneously present. Here, but we're mostly talking about the qualities of the Buddha, spontaneously present. Okay. And then, third aspect, realization due to extraneous conditions. external conditions has nothing to do with this Buddha. Which means if one pray or not pray to Buddha, it actually doesn't really matter. Likewise, all the Buddha qualities that we have been talking about has nothing to do with external conditions. External conditions have not met Buddha as Buddha. Has nothing to do with external conditions. Those who depend on external conditions are ordinary beings. It's like when one hears something good, one is happy. When one hears something bad, one is sad. That is how external conditions affect us. And we rely on them. And somehow samsara, so-called samsara, is like that. Just grasping to the external thing, not turning one's mind inward. Somehow our mind is projected always outward. And then in that infinite projections of our mind, we lost. That's how external conditions matters to us. So here, Buddha's true nature, Buddha's enlightened qualities, Buddha's essence, are they something has to do external conditions that created them, that matters, or we please Buddha, or we upset Buddha? There's none of those things. Absolutely unaffected by external conditions. Okay. So now we have this Buddha's quality, uncreated, uncompounded, empty. This is spontaneous presence, all his enlightened qualities, wisdom and manifestation, spontaneously present. And nothing external conditions matters. Buddha is, this primordial wisdom. We call Soso Rangripiyeshi, the wisdom of self-awareness. So these three aspects are the first qualities of the Buddha. Okay. So if you know these, if you reflect on these, Buddha's nature, then somehow when Buddha said, those who sees me in form do not see me. Yes, obviously. When we say form, if the Buddha as the Siddhartha who attained enlightenment, walking, that form, the figure, if that is the Buddha, then of course, Buddha passed away. Buddha bound to these composite phenomena. Duje Tamche Mitaba. Remember, the very basic Buddha Dharma teaching says that Duje Tamche Mitaba, all composite phenomena are impermanent. So Buddha is beyond that impermanent and permanent nature, uncreated, uncompounded nature. And the rest of the spontaneously presence, non-affected by external conditions. These are something to understand. When one reflects on these things, the nature of the Buddha, then when you hear such prayers on one particle, there are as many Buddhas as there are particles. Somehow this will go somewhere in your mind that really somehow invoke this non-dual wisdom, something profound understanding that goes beyond. Okay. 3 qualities, very important to know. Now, next 3 qualities is somewhat that we always hear. These next 3 qualities is as a Buddha or as a teacher, what he needs. He needs knowledge. To teach something, he needs knowledge. And then in order to teach, he needs the compassion to those whom he going to teach, the compassion to all beings. And at the same time, he needs some kind of ability, power to teach effectively. So these 3 aspects are called Khyentse Nusum, which means infinite compassion, infinite wisdom, and infinite power to liberate all beings. So that's here, it means here, wielding knowledge, compassionate love, and ability. So who is Buddha now? Buddha is someone fully awakened with infinite primordial wisdom. Yeah? Infinite primordial wisdom. That which knows everything in detail, everything. Buddha, which has infinite compassion and love, compassion. We usually talk about like a mother loving her only son, like that. Such a love to all sentient beings. And with that, infinite power to liberate beings. So these 3 qualities are qualities or value for benefit others, we call it. Value for benefit others. Before 3 qualities, uncreated, spontaneously present, not affected by or external condition, nothing has to do with external condition. These 3 are called value for sub-benefit. So here we talk about benefit. Buddha is the one who completed or perfectly, ultimately attained the benefit for oneself and benefit of others. In lots of our prayers, see, we have these. May I accomplish the benefit for oneself and benefit for others. Actually, we're talking about this kind of enlightened Buddha qualities. Okay, now, remember Buddha, 6 qualities. As subject matter, 6 qualities, but we count like value for the benefit of oneself, value for the benefit of others. Together, we say 8, which means 8 qualities. But simply put it, 2 qualities, the value for benefit of oneself, value for benefit of others. So these are the Buddhas. When we talk about Buddha jewel, that's what we are referring. So keep in mind, when one pray to Buddha or Guru Rinpoche, one pray that, the nature of Guru Rinpoche, essence of Guru Rinpoche is uncompounded. As the presence of external conditions, so this enlightened as a nature like that, empty, on the aspect level, Guru Rinpoche, Buddha, has infinite wisdom, that which knows the moment you pray upon, like as we talk about Asanga, prayer, doing prayer upon Maitreya. Like Maitreya said, I have never been separated from the moment you prayed upon me. Like that is kind of Buddha's infinite, Guru Rinpoche's infinite wisdom. And then Guru Rinpoche's infinite compassion, like a loving mother to her only child. That kind of loving, that kind of compassion, infinite. That is also infinite compassion, not just compassion, but infinite, beyond any defilement kind of compassion, pure compassion, without any strain of defilement. Infinite power, Guru Rinpoche, Buddha, who are enlightened means they have now accomplished their aspiration, their bodhicitta, for benefit infinite sentient beings. Their aspiration that they made at the beginning of their path is now fully ripened or accomplished that aspiration, that which means that any Buddhas have the infinite enlightened power to liberate sentient beings. So these 8, or in subject matter, only 6 qualities. These 6 qualities defines Buddha as Buddha, fully awakened one. Okay. So I won't go into detail here. So you just think about this second stanza, and rest would be pretty clear. Okay, that is the Buddha jewel to understand on a deeper level. There's a Buddha jewel. Okay, now second, Dharma jewel. We're on page 105. Now, first we like to do the simple thing. The simple, what is Dharma? Dharma is the teachings of the Buddha. That's it. And then going a little bit more into deeper, Lamas usually use this quotation from Vasubandhu, actually the brother of Asanga. This Vasubandhu's quotation. He reads in Tibetan, Tumbi tamchu namninte lungtang tobi dani jen. Tenzing chetang ma cheba drubar cheba konao. Which means Buddha's teaching Dharma has 2 aspects. Dharma in terms of teachings, Dharma in terms of realizations. Sometimes they're translated as Dharma of transmissions, Dharma of realizations. Which means to uphold these 2 aspects of Dharma. First is to study the Dharma. in terms of teaching Dharma is must study, analyze, reflect upon. And then Dharma of realization is something to must apply to one's being, apply, applications, put into practice. So, the two things. Now, first, Dharma in terms of teachings or transmissions, there are many. Based on Buddha's three Pitakas, Vinaya Pitaka, Sutra Pitaka, Abhidhamma Pitaka. So, based on these three, then Chuji Pumbu Jeti Jetong we call 84,000 different kinds of teachings of the Buddha. All these are Dharma in terms of teachings. How do we uphold these Dharmas of the teaching, the transmission? These Dharmas of the teaching and transmission must uphold by studying, just like the one we are doing here. We are studying the Dharma about Buddha nature. Amazing. Amazingly, you happen to have time to listen to me. And that's amazing. According to this text, because we have this Buddha nature, all this happens. Somehow, when you hear about Buddha nature, you want to try to find that out. You want to study this a little bit. You want to figure that out, what this is about. Or somehow you're a little bit tired of samsara. And you want to find something else. Beside this, every day go to work, drink coffee, mocha, come home, watch Everybody Loves Raymond. Every day you might have been doing this for so long. And at a certain point, you're a little bit tired of it. You may wonder if there's anything else out there that can be more meaningful, that can be more resonating about basically knowing who one is. So, therefore, studying the Dharma happens because of our Buddha nature. So it's great. I'm happy for this. And then, now, Dharma in terms of teachings, how we do that, to practice, approach that is we study reflections, debate, and all this. Now, the second part, Dharma of realizations. Dharma of realizations is what Maitreya's subject is about here. Second Vajra point. When Maitreya talks about Dharma here, he is not talking about Dharma in terms of teaching that as we know, but go a little bit more into deeper, we will be talking about Dharma of realizations, Topitema in Tibet. Now, Dharma of realizations. In order to talk about this, some basic kind of understanding of what is this about. Well, to begin with, Again, Tibetan word for Dharma is a beautiful one. We call che. Che actually means transforming or changing. It's che. Now, Dharma of realization has to do with che, changing or transformations. Here, Maitreya, talking about Dharma of realizations, he talks about this Dharma of realization in the frame of two truths. Yeah. Here, two truths are Four Noble Truths, two truths, not the relative and absolute truth. Here, truths are among the Four Noble Truths. Of course, I assume that you are very familiar with Four Noble Truths. Truth of suffering, truth of cause of sufferings, two truths. Last two truths is the subject here. Truth of cessation of suffering, truth of cessation. And truth of the path that lead to the cessation of suffering. We call Ngokpidemba and Lamchidemba. See, Buddha, after teaching truth of sufferings and truth of origin of suffering, was very important teaching. But mainly his teaching is about cessation of suffering and mainly truth of the path that lead to the cessation of suffering. So what is now these two truths is a subject here in this frame of two truths. Dharma is explained. Dharma of realization is explained. Two truths. Truth of cessation has to do with ending sufferings. After Buddha taught truth of suffering, truth of cause of suffering, and immediately jumped to this truth of cessation of suffering, is the suffering needs to be there all the time. To answer that, Buddha saying, yes, those sufferings not need to be there. All can be eliminated. This suffering right now we're feeling, or this uncomfortable feeling, or anxiety, or hope not, hatred, but all these sufferings, and basically all these mental suffering, other sufferings, can be eliminated. When these sufferings are eliminated, and that is the truth of cessation. I'm just putting it in a very simple way. All these layers of obscuration that which obscure our Buddha nature can be removed. That removal, the state which is in which everything is removed, that purity is the truth of cessation. Isn't that great? Truth of cessation. And truth of the path that lead to the cessation of suffering. See, Buddha taught Eightfold Noble Truth. Right view, to right thought and right actions and all these. So these Eightfold Noble Truth has to do with when you practice, when you generate right view, when you generate right motivation, right mindfulness, right concentration, what happens? What happened here is these obscurations that which obscure our Buddha nature is slowly, finally peeling off. That is the process. That is the process. That process, that being peeled off, being purified, is the truth that lead to the cessation of suffering. Truth of the path. Hey, pretty clear, right? Okay. Now, here, Maitreya's presentation of Dharma is that in terms of two truths. Again, what are the two truths? Truth of cessation of suffering, truth of cessation, truth of the path. And then this, Maitreya talks in 4 stanzas. First stanza is a presentation of the subject matter by means of a praise, paying homage. He talks about. In 4 stanzas, okay? Second stanzas, this is the explanation of the meaning of praise presented in categories again, in categories. The Dharma, you remember, here we are not talking about Dharma in terms of teaching, but what we are talking about here, Dharma in terms of realizations within the frame of two truths, okay? So let us again focus on these second stanzas. If we do this, then we understand basically the rest of it. So among these two truths, first is the truth of cessation. Now the truth of cessation is the Dharma, and truth of the path is the Dharma. Okay, what is Dharma now? You know, that's what Maitreya is pointing out. Dharma is in the studying. The Dharma is not that side. The real Dharma is the one that you remove the quality, purity, the Dharma, which is being purified, being applied, these teachings to one's mind, and practicing, applying the teaching in the process. These two are the real Dharma. These two are the ones actually protect us. Just studying reflection only can protect some ways, but ultimately to be protected, one must apply the teachings. Okay, now if we talk about the truth of the cessations, here with 3 qualities. Here it reads, inconceivable, again, free from two, and free from thoughts. Okay. These 3 aspects are truth of the cessation of sufferings. Now, let us talk about inconceivable. Ultimately speaking, Dharma, obviously, Buddha said, is beyond expressions. Beyond expressions, because if we try to talk about, to begin with, our language itself is something to communicate this dualistic phenomena. All the time, subject and object matters we talk about. I do these things to that. Subject and object, action matters. Language is like that, then how we are going to talk about? If the subject, then the two things. See, if language is about dualistic, a subject is about non-dualist, non-dual wisdom, how can compromise that? There's no way. It's beyond expressions. Real Dharma, truth of the cessation of Dharma, the ultimate qualities that one attained by practicing Dharma, the realizations, is something that cannot be taught. Now, to talk about this inconceivable nature of the Dharma, here in the, say, by means of praise, at the beginning here, he says, Dharma is neither non-existent nor existent. This thing. If it's existing phenomena, then of course, there's problems, fall into dualisms. Ultimate nature of Dharma is beyond existence. When you say beyond existence, we talk about nihilistic view and, eternalistic view. Eternalistic view has to do with something there, so to speak, something there, subject and object matter, something to be attained, something to be realized. In order to remove that, Buddha is teaching about emptiness, eternalistic view, something out there, especially something that actually even, thinking that, wishing that everything lasts forever is somewhat an eternalistic view. It's not exactly, but it's fall into eternalistic view. So existing, that do not help. Teaching about emptiness. Now, if you say, well, ultimate Dharma is non-existent, then again one fall into what? Nihilistic view. Of course there exists. Something is always there. So in order to that, emptiness of emptiness teachings, for instance. And then both existence and non-existence, of course, cannot be both because it's not existent, it's not existence, so cannot be both. But neither of them either. So ultimately speaking, inconceivable means these dualistic mind cannot perceive, cannot be, conceive what the ultimate nature of the Dharma is. That realizations, that cease of, sufferings, cessation of suffering is this quality of realizations that which we cannot pinpoint with our ordinary words and by ordinary means. But how then? How do we understand? How do we get that? That is through practice and through one's wisdom, through understanding of the true nature. See, of course, I'm sure you heard about this. We always go through three kind of steps: study Dharma, reflection Dharma, and meditation Dharma. So goes through first study Dharma, then leads to the reflection. Reflection leads to the meditation. Meditation will lead only to wisdom, the realization. And that realization cannot be conceivable with the ordinary dualistic mind, that which is, concept. So, okay, true Dharma, beyond it's inconceivable. And free from the two, it says, in Tibetan, it says, Sami Ingme. That purity of cessation of suffering is free of two. What two? The cause of sufferings, negative karmas, and then, the afflictive emotion, afflictive, mental poisons. Free from these two. That's pure. The realization, Dharma. That is the real Dharma we're talking about. And then Dharma, and then the Dharma, free of realization. And then this Dharma, realization Dharma, is free from thought, free from concept, concept free, the idea free. See, actually it has to do with, all Dharma teaching has to do with somehow taking down all the layers and layers of ideas. We build up ideas, we cling on to that ideas, and we come all of a sudden, let's imagine we come to a Dzogchen teachings, and there's a concept free. Concept is the one that really bind you down, and then right and wrong and all this hope and fears. Concept all has to do with concept. Real understanding, realization of Dharma, what? Non-dual. That is concept free. I always think about this Shantideva's teachings here. Concept that's a number which means neither existence nor non-existence remain before my mind. And beyond these two, there's nothing to grasp, concept free. So that is the real Dharma, Dharma of realizations. Okay. Next three are these ones. Being pure, clear, and playing the part of an antidote. Playing the part of an antidote. Antidote, basically. So these three aspects are Dharma of realizations. Within Dharma of realizations, remember, we talk about two truths. Dharma, a truth of cessation and truth of the path, right? And now here we are talking about truth of the path. That is what? That is being free, the process, applying, and your layers of obscurations are being removed, peeling away, being removed. That process, that while you are in that truth of the path, these three qualities are present. Again, while you are in that truth of the path, these three qualities are present. What are the qualities? Being pure. Being pure, and that in that process, and that process taking place, being layers peel off, in that state is pure. Pure from negativity. In that process, Dharma of the path is clear. Clear what? Clear with, you know what you're doing. Wisdom of self-awareness is ever present. Vividness, brilliance, your mind is in that clear state. Applying a part of antidote. Of course, this is antidote. This is a direct antidote of peeling away, direct antidote to these obscurations. So, long story short now, what is real Dharma here? From Buddha Maitreya's point of view, real Dharma is Dharma of realization. Dharma of realizations is truth of the cessations that one have realized, these realizations, that which is free from these all obscurations, that free state, that freedom. Truth of the path, the Dharma of realization. Truth of the path aspect is the, actually applying this antidote and being remove these obscurations. So what is real Dharma? Real Dharma is something that you put into practice and you are actually being benefit from it. You are actually attain that liberations or being attained that liberations. This is a real Dharma. This is the Dharma that which protects one from all dangers. So Maitreya here says, pay homage to that Dharma as the sun, brilliant sun shining in this dark mind for the first time. Brilliant sun that which clears away all defilements and seat of enlightenment is being established. And on the path, you are on the path. You are on the path. So that is the real Dharma. So when we say, we have to think about, when we say we are practicing Dharma, what do we really mean? Does that mean you are applying the Buddha's teaching to your mind? Compassion, forgiveness, right view, right, all these things, right speech, right thought. Applying or you attain the quality of that applications. If there is, then we are practicing Dharma. Otherwise, just study this. Yes, it is part of the Dharma, but not exactly that which can protect from the suffering. So let us all always keep our aspiration that real Dharma is something that you apply to your mind. Yeah? Okay. That's about Dharma. And then now, let us talk about Sangha jewels. Okay. Third Vajra point, Sangha jewel. That is on page 108. 108. Sangha jewel. Okay. Again, there are very simple ways to look at this. What does Sangha means here? Sangha is the one who take refuge in Buddha and who practice Dharma. That's Sangha jewel, simple. Right? That's what we think. And then it's more simple and it's correct. Now, first let me use this Tibetan word again. Tibetan word for Sangha is called Gendun. Gendun. Okay, 2 syllables. Ge, which means virtue. In this regard means Dharma, the path, the real path, the path that we just described. The Buddha, the Maitreya described path, virtue, that ge. Du means aspirations, aspiring to this. This is an important word, ge du, aspiring to the virtue, would be literal translation, but aspiring to Dharma, practice the Dharma, teaching, Dharma in terms of teaching, Dharma in terms of realization, aspiring to that, really. That's again doing. So now, some time ago, somebody asked me, why some Sangha members may be practicing Dharma, but they're not necessarily good. Some call it rude. How this happens. And of course, we Sangha members somehow should be good, but we have our things. It carries out, take us out. Then I thought this answer, really. Tibetan word, Gendu Sangha. And my answer is that, well, we as a human being, not perfect. But what defines us as a Sangha member is that we, deep down in our heart, have these aspirations, motivation to be perfect, motivation to follow the path of the Buddha Dharma, motivation to be awakened fully at one time, at somewhere down the level. We have that aspiration. That defines us. Or we can call ourselves as a Sangha member. So I think this Tibetan word is somewhat, Genji, is useful. You may have to use this word. Okay. So now Sangha is like that. Then in Sangha, we have two kinds of Sanghas, ordinary Sangha and sublime Sangha. Ordinary Sangha, again, as I said, just having the aspiration, taking Buddha as the perfect teacher, Dharma is the perfect path. One may not be able to walk on the Dharma's path, but have the genuine aspiration. Here we're talking about, right? I'm talking about here. Let me go back a little bit to that aspiration. Genuine aspiration must be present. Otherwise, they're not. So, genuine aspiration to walk on the path of liberation. One has not walked on the path of liberation. One has not attained nothing, but still have the genuine aspirations. Sangha. Okay. That's ordinary Sangha. Now here, Maitreya's explanation is the noble, sublime Sangha, especially Bodhisattva levels is what we're talking about here. Okay. So again, Buddha Maitreya presents the subject matter by means of praise Sangha, and then Sangha, in a little bit in a different aspect, quality of the Sangha, like that. So, so what is now sublime Bodhisattva Sangha? What is that? What does that Sangha look like? Or quality of that Sangha? That Sangha is, of course, the one who has wisdom, right? One has wisdom. Wisdom of what? This wisdom, there are two nature, Buddha nature is finally realized. Clear light is realized. And with that, they generate compassion to those who have not. At the same time, with their wisdom, they see the sufferings of sentient beings. So anyway, the Sangha here is the ones who have the wisdom, the knowledge, the understanding of their true nature, Buddha nature we are talking about, who has this wisdom, this knowledge. So here, qualities of the Sanghas, we talk about Rigdol, Rigpa, which means awareness, or awareness. Rigdol means liberation. So Sanghas explain, the sublime Sanghas explains true awareness and liberations. Now, let us talk about this with the aspiration that, oneself also become like this Sangha. This Sangha, in terms of wisdom awareness, there are mainly two awareness, is what we talk about. Two wisdoms, let us use wisdom. Here translated is knows correctly or knows completely. But other translations, we call Chitta Vichemba, Jinhe Vichemba, that which knows the nature of the phenomena, which that knows the great diversity of phenomena, basically, all things. So Chitta Vichemba knows as it is the wisdom that which knows the reality of phenomena, reality of all things in their true nature. That is the wisdom that knows everything as it is in their reality. Not knowing this reality is the whole problem. Usually in Abhidhamma, Madhyamaka teachings, we give this beautiful example, like when in a little bit of a dark place, if there is a robe laying on the ground, because due to the dim light, some may think this robe is a snake. That mistaken kind of understanding is what ordinary minds, grasping minds, thinking that they are out there and existing, permanent, something like that. And then the wisdom that knows the nature of phenomena is like, rope is a rope, not a snake. So that kind of wisdom, and the wisdom that knows multiplicity of phenomena, that is just knowing everything. We say, like, for example, when you look at the peacock's feather, this big, beautiful peacock's feather with its patterns and colors, each and every patterns or colors of the peacock's feather came from different causes and conditions. Now, who knows this in detail? The wisdom that knows the diversity of phenomena, the multiplicity of phenomena, knows everything. So, what happened with these two wisdoms are there? When there are two wisdoms are present, then two liberations happen. We call Chatogitipa here, liberation from attachment and liberation from obstructions. But in a put it more of a more of understandable, simple would be, usually we translate it as Nyumobitipa and Shijitipa, emotional obscurations and cognitive obscurations. So these kind of obscurations, again, talking about layers and layers that cover our Buddha nature, these are the obscurations, emotional obscurations and cognitive obscurations. So these wisdom, really peels out, remove and purifies these layers of obscurations. And who is Sangha now? Sangha is the ones who have wisdom. Sangha is the ones who attain liberations. And being attained, in the process of attaining liberations, and who has the quality of liberations. This is the Sangha. So furthermore, we explain this, like inner wisdom, which refer to the realizations of Buddha nature within, and realizations of Buddha nature in all sentient beings. That's called inner wisdom. And with these wisdoms, one is superior from ordinary beings. Particularly in terms of these Mahayana teachings, this Sangha, Mahayana Sangha, Bodhisattva is superior than the Sanghas of the lower vehicles. Because Chato maybe deeply told. True obscurations are liberated. The maybe deeply means the inferior view of the lower vehicles. This Sangha is superior because it's unsurpassable, this state. Supreme, sublime Sangha. So basically, the Sangha who has the wisdom, the Sangha who has the quality of this freedom, who has the quality of freedom from the obscurations. Okay, so these are the Sangha. Okay, now let us go to page page 112. Okay. 112. Yep. Okay. In this, now I have to explain briefly these stanzas. This stanza talks about the necessity to present the three types of refuge. Why three types of refuge are presented here? There being the teacher, his teaching, and his disciples. So reason for kind of presenting these three refuges are because there are different vehicles and different beings venerate differently. So therefore, three jewels, okay, three refuges. Why there are three refuges? Because when three refuges are present, Buddha jewels are present. Mahayana, for Mahayana, when you look at Buddha's describe about Buddha jewel, they will such aspiration to attain that Buddha state. Therefore, it's taught Buddha jewel. When Pratyeka Buddhayanas hear the Dharma jewel, they will make the aspiration to work on Dharma jewel. And then Pratyeka Buddhayanas practitioners will attain their state of Arhat, not Buddha, state of Arhat. When Sharabhakayanas hear the Sangha jewels, they think about the Sangha jewels, meaning and qualities, and they are inspired to become the perfect Sangha, the Arhat, so they join the path of liberations. Therefore, three jewels are taught. And then also we call for venerations, we call Kangyi Namchi Chok Sanji La Chao Su Chao, which means supreme among beings, Buddha jewel is a supreme among beings. Dharma jewel, Deshatan Tawa Namchi Chok, supreme among that which is free from attachments. Chok Namchi Chok, supreme among assembly, as supreme among assembly, venerate. So we will learn later that actually all these jewels can be one jewel, but taught differently because of these three yanas and three kinds of beings who venerate separately. So therefore, three jewels are taught. Okay. Next, page 113. Explanation of which is the ultimate refuge, which are not. So now the question is, what are the refuge that are not ultimate refuge? See, we're going a little bit in detail. Okay. So here, Dharma jewel and Sangha jewels, which is needed, but not ultimate refuge. Okay, I won't spend much time there. The first, here it reads, the Dharma will be abandoned and is of an unsteady nature. Dharma will be abandoned. Dharma, first we talk about Dharma, okay? Dharma, how Dharma is not ultimate refuge. Dharma is not ultimate refuge. The first Dharma in terms of teachings, you study the text, you study. When you realize, then what you do with the text, what you do with the knowledge, you move on, abandon, like that. And Dharma of realizations, we have truth of the path, that being realized. Being realized is unsteady nature. So in this, we talk about, for instance, 5 paths, 10 different stages, go one after next. When you go to the upper level, next one is now to leave behind, and you go further and further. So this, when you get to the next step, the first step become not that important. So again, that was Dharma, is Dharma, but again, not ultimate. And then is not the ultimate quality, is referring to the truth of the cessations, the purity. The purity right now, for instance, we have, is again, when we attain further pure, and this purity is again leave behind, go to further purity. So not ultimate, it's not ultimate quality. Sangha, that's why Dharma is not ultimate. There's some aspect of Dharma, not ultimate refuge. Sangha, we're talking about Mahayana Sangha, Hinayana Sangha. Sangha, we have fear, that's why they're not ultimate refuge. Fear of obscuration, right? Fear of all this negativity, so therefore not ultimate refuge. Now, What is then ultimate refuge? Ultimate refuge is Buddha jewel. Buddha jewel is the ultimate refuge. But here, Buddha jewel have all the rest. Dhamma jewel and Sangha jewel are completed within Buddha jewel. How? So, because Buddha is, of course, truth of cessation, ultimate reality, ultimate freedom. Truth of the power, truth of cessation is there, Buddha, ultimate Dharma, because the Buddha has Dhammakaya, and the Dhammakaya is truth of cessation. Now, Buddha is Sangha, because Sangha, aspiring to become such, he accomplished that. So, Buddha is also Sangha. So now here, let me just say this. Here, when you talk about what is Dharma, that's not ultimate refuge. Sangha, that's not ultimate refuge. But for the beginner, it is refuge. We use Dharma, it's like a boat. And then you use that Dharma, you use that boat to cross this ocean of samsara. And once you get across the ocean, then what are you going to do with the boat? Are you going to still carry on? Doesn't make sense, right? But again, some people, some like who know a little bit about Dzogchen or something, maybe, I don't know, other part of accumulations of marriage, not necessarily kind of thinking, those are wrong also. Those are like denying, before you get to the other shore, you are denying the boat. That can happen. That's very wrong. So here we are talking about who is not ultimate refuge, who is ultimate refuge. We're talking about the aspect of Buddha's qualities and knowing a little bit more detail about what is Sangha jewel, what is Dhamma jewel, more detail. That's all about. Okay, next, last one, page 114. So here, why these three are called jewel, or we call kunchok in Tibetan, which means sublime and rare. Kun means rare, chok means sublime. Why these three jewels are called rare and sublime? Here are the reasons, 6 different kinds of reasons. Their occurrence is rare, yes. Actually, Buddha happened, Dharma actually being practiced, become actually Sangha is rare, isn't it? Quite rare. There are freedom from defilement. That's why it's rare and sublime. Freedom from defilement. Really. Second. And third, possess the power. Three jewels possess the power, infinite power to liberate sentient beings. They are the adornment of the world, of course. This Buddha Dhamma, Sangha, adorns, beautifies the sentient being's mind. Where there's Dharma, there's a beauty. They are sublime. Three jewels are sublime than any other qualities. They are unchanging because actually real Buddha Dharma beyond cause and condition, beyond karma and beyond effective emotions. So because of these 6 aspects, we can call the three jewels as a rare and sublime. Okay, so that complete our discussion regarding the three jewels. And with this, all I hope is that now you rather expand your understanding of the Buddha Dharma Sangha, what all this means. And I hope this serve as a clarification for your own practice. And of course, I hope you pay some attention to this and read these. And after I explain this much, then you go back and reading. It will give lots of clarity. So my hope is you pay some attention, spend some time and read. Okay, thank you. Any questions?
There is an online question. It's from Rachel, and she asks, what are some of the signposts along the path to Buddha nature?
What?
I'll repeat. What are some of the signposts along the path to Buddha nature?
What are the signs of Buddha nature? That's what she meant, you think?
I think, yes.
Is Rachel? Rachel, are you around? I think Rachel.
I'll unmute her. There, she can talk now.
As you're traveling with paths.
It's like okay.
Recognizing that you're actually achieving. Hello?
Okay.
Yes, there's Rachel.
Hi.
Okay, Rachel.
Hello?
Oh, Rachel.
Hi.
Yeah.
What I'm asking is, so you're traversing the path and you're losing obscurations, and along the way, because often it's a gradual path, what are some of the things one might look for as signs of development in oneself?
Well, that is your mind. Basically, when one practices Dharma, you see Dharma of realization has to do with, truth of cessation and truth of the path. Truth of cessation aspect, one should feel that, let's say, as usual, somebody checks your comfort zone, and you're really not happy. But this time, a little bit different, somewhat light. And this time, not only light, but also some kind of second understanding of the defects of affective emotions that when sentient beings have, as well as their karmas. Somehow very different you feel. And then further practice, you feel path becoming quite clear. We say that kind of certainty that even all Buddhas come to you and said, Richard, that's not how you do. But you still have the inner confidence that you gain from your practice. That kind of ascertaining, understanding. And with that, ever more compassion to all sentient beings. Knowing that all sentient beings having this Buddha nature, but completely being lost, completely being covered. Ever more understanding of equanimity. We are all equal in terms of Buddha nature, Nobody is inherently bad now. We know. All have Buddha nature. Amazing. Then in Vajrayana practice, we talk about self-visualizations, pure perceptions. And these pure perception practice finally will lead us to that purity, Buddha nature understanding. So there are, of course, many post signs along the way. And when these post signs actually experience, you happen to be absolutely free of any questions. Okay.